Hey, what's going on? This is me, Jay. I'm here to do the part two review of WrestleMania 36, which aired last night. Yeah, I planned to do it live, blow by blow, but I couldn't really figure out how to watch along at the same time and do the video at the same time, commentary wise. So that's why I do it, and I inevitably deleted the video. But here's my thoughts. Um, there was a pre-show match with Natalia versus Liv Morgan, which I didn't really watch. So I can give my thoughts on that. But the opening match was Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte for the NXT Championship, and like I said, this was something different for NXT. NXT's the minor leagues considered of WWE. It's not really considered the two main shows like Raw and SmackDown are. But since AEW came out and AEW comes out on Wednesdays, and NXT was moved to Wednesdays and moved to the USA Network to directly compete with AEW. Now NXT's been given a lot of shine. They were given shine at the Survivor Series, and now Charlotte defeated Rhea Ripley, and now Charlotte is the champion. So Charlotte, who is a main star, who was a main eventer last year, who's Ric Flair's daughter and who has a lot of notoriety, is now going to be in the NXT roster and giving the rub to a lot of the girls in NXT, like Rhea Ripley, like Bianca Belair, those girls. Okay, so what did I think of this match? I thought it was pretty good. As usual, Charlotte Flair continues to work Rhea Ripley's leg, setting her up for the figure eight. And, it was a story of the match. She works the leg, she works the legs. So she wrestles kind of like her dad. You know how you should know by now how Charlotte Flair wrestles and works. But Charlotte Flair is your new NXT Women's Champion. It was a decent match. I give it all about 1.5 stars. From there, we move on to the match that was tremendous. Now, I don't really watch SmackDown a lot, so I didn't really keep up with the story of Otis, Mandy Rose, and uh, Dolph Ziggler, but and Sonya Deville. But apparently, uh, Otis and Mandy Rose were supposed to go out for Valentine's Day, and Sonya Deville texted um, Otis saying that Mandy Rose was going to be late, and then Mandy Rose uh, missed the date, and then Otis went with flowers, and he caught Mandy Rose going on a date with Dolph Ziggler instead of him, and he was kind of crushed. And the whole story was kind of like a Beauty and the Beast thing to me. It kind of reminded me of back in the day, in the 80s, they had this storyline where George the Animal Steel was in love with Miss Elizabeth, and he was giving her flowers and stuff, and Miss Elizabeth was like the whole thing was like, oh, he's ugly. She's supposed to be repulsed by him, so what's whatever. But I love this storyline. I don't like I said I didn't keep up with it, but just watching it from the WrestleMania match and how they did the whole thing, and at the end, Otis gets the win, and he gets the girl. He carries Mandy Rose on the threshold. He kisses her. This is like a really romantic, again, harkening back to Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth, a really romantic arc type thing. And then moving on from there to another type of soap opera storyline that they've been doing. Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley with Lana in this corner. Let me just say that Lana, she looked tremendous. Like ever since she's been with Bobby Lashley, she looks totally different than when she was with Dolph Ziggler and when she was with Rusev. She looks, oh wow, she was stunning, but it didn't really help. Bobby Lashley lost to Aleister Black. A joke that I had was, I guess Aleister Black got blacked. Okay, it wasn't that funny. Um, then we move on to the tag team title match. The Street Profits, Montez Ford, and Angelo Dawkins versus Austin Theory and Garza with Zelina Vega. Again, Aleister Black's real life girlfriend or wife, but in the corner. And this was a pretty good back and forth, decent match. I watch um, occasionally. I watch Raw, and I do catch the Street Profits, and I know that Montez Ford is the husband. Is the husband of uh, the is the husband of Bianca Belair. So, and that plays a role later on because even though they retained the titles, Garza and Austin Theory, um, and Zelina Vega comes in the ring and Zelina Vega starts attacking the Street Profits. So who comes out? Bianca Belair, and Bianca Belair is beating up Zelina Vega, and it's like a three-way fight. Now take Austin Theory out of the equation and just leave Angel Garza and his real partner Andrade in it, and then you have this kind of Los Boricuas nation domination type, LA type racialized street fight. You have the Hispanics on one side and the African Americans on the other side in like a racialized angle type thing. Be kind of cool, you know. I like Bianca Belair. I like at the end when she lays out Zelina Vega and then she's like, she tells her to kiss her ass, She's walking away. She's pretty cool. I like Bianca. I think she has a bright future ahead of her. And I like Zelina Vega too. They're both pretty hot. You know what I mean? Seeing them wrestle. Um, then move on to the really weird interview that Bailey and Sasha do do with Kayla in the back, and it's like Bailey is talking about how she has to overcome this and how she has to overcome that, and they're really sowing the seeds of dissension between uh, Sasha and Bailey, like they've been doing for over a year. They've been building this and building it and building it, and like now they're in this five-way, and it's like Sasha has never won the SmackDown Women's Championship, and Bailey has it. So you're like, is she gonna turn on Bailey, and is she finally gonna wake up and realize? You know what it kind of reminds me of was it's like, you know how like this is going back a little bit in history, but remember back in the day when they did the build of Virgil and the $1 Million Man, and the $1 Million Man would always he would push around Virgil, push him around, demean him, put him down, make him clean his toes, make him clean his back, make him massage him, and everything. He would always, put Virgil down, put him down, put him down. And then it's like you couldn't finally wait. You couldn't wait until Virgil would finally just one day, like he did at the Royal Rumble 1991, and he finally woke up and he was like, enough is enough already. I've had it with your bullshit. I'm just turning on you and I'm challenging you. And this is kind of like this. It's like Sasha gives and she gives and she gives, and Bailey always puts her down verbally, even physically. And it's like, how much more can she take? And you're thinking this is going to be this five-way with Tamina and Naomi and her and Lacey Evans, you know, you think, oh, this is gonna be the one where she turns on her, and unfortunately, it's not. Um, what ends up happening is they all end up eliminating Tamina, obviously because Tamina is large, and they do the same thing with her that they used to do with Nia Jax, that they used to do with Yokozuna, used to do with Giant Gonzalez, Andre. They they gang up on the bigger one and they eliminate the bigger one. Then they get down to Lacey Evans and they're taunting Lacey Evans. They're 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 talking about her daughter and stuff. They're saying she's a mom. They're fake saluting, and Lacey's just getting beat down. And then finally, they do this move where Sasha's holding her, and by accident, Bailey nails Sasha and knocks her out. And then um, the announcers are like, "Oh shit, Bailey cost Sasha the championship. What you gonna do? What you gonna do?" And then Lacey Evans comes in, hits the woman's right, and she misses, and she hits Sasha instead of Bailey, and then Sasha's eliminated down to Bailey and Lacey Evans, and then finally Sasha comes in, hits the bank statement, boom, on Lacey Evans, and helps Bailey retain the championship and push the title around Bailey's waist. But the whole time you're like, damn, if only Sasha would just turn. And the look on Sasha's face as she as she as she's putting the belt around Bailey's waist is like, one day, not now, not at WrestleMania, but one day I'm gonna get you, bitch, and I'm gonna turn on you, and I'm gonna give you the bank statement, and I'm gonna win the championship finally. But I was disappointed because, as you guys know, Sasha's my favorite wrestler. I tweeted her on Facebook, tweeted her on Twitter a lot, and I always support her. And when it comes down to female wrestlers, she's my favorite, and she didn't win again. I just wanted to have her moment one of these days, or go to AEW. Okay, now I skipped around a little because I really, really want to talk about these two matches, which I think consider these two matches the two matches of the night. And one is Edge versus Randy Orton, and the other is um, the Funhouse match between John Cena and Bray Wyatt. First, Edge versus Randy Orton. Now, speaking of people having their moments and former tag team partners feuding, I felt really bad for Edge because he's been out of commission since 2011, and he finally, gets his health to come back, and he comes back at the Royal Rumble, doesn't win, and he comes back the same night that Kobe Bryant died. So his return was kind of overshadowed by Kobe Bryant's death, and then when he has his WrestleMania match, his WrestleMania return is overshadowed by coronavirus and the fact that there was no people there. So, they did the best that they can do. They went to the back, they wrestled a lot. They showed us the back of the performance center. They wrestled in the gym. They wrestled on top of the truck. They wrestled everywhere throughout the building. They really utilized the building of the performance center, uh, to a large degree because, there's no audience, so you can't play to the crowd, so you got to play to the strengths of the situation. And Edge won finally. Like it went on for way too long. It was a good match, but it went on for way too long. Yeah, Randy Orton taunting him, telling Edge that he loves him as a brother, and he hit Edge with the RKO, and then Edge did that sleeper hold, reversed it and did that sleeper hold. He did the MVP on SmackDown, and and you know he wins. It went on a little bit too long. I found myself like looking at my phone, looking at other posts as the match was going on, and just getting really bored midway by it. But it was interesting to see the back of the backstage area, the performance center. I think they were going for like a type of Benoit Kevin Sullivan circa Great American Bash '96 type thing. And the other interesting match that I want to talk about was the Funhouse match. Now, can you even call this a match? This is hard to really. This match is really hard to put into words because it was such a mind fuck. You know, like Tim Burton could have choreographed this match. This is how much of a big of a mind fuck this was. John Cena comes out, and you're so used to hearing John Cena sucks, like going along with his theme song. Of course, you don't hear that because there's nobody there. So he starts saying, "Welcome to WrestleMania," and then you see this montage of Vince at WrestleMania 2, Mean Gene Okerlund at WrestleMania 5, and all this stuff of Bray Wyatt, the Funhouse, and then all of a sudden, Bray Wyatt standing there in the Funhouse talking to John Cena, talking about John Cena will pay for what happened 6 years ago at 30, and then they cut to a thing where John Cena is a flashback to when John Cena first debuted on SmackDown in 2002 when he was the prototype, and instead of Kurt Angle, it's Bray Wyatt saying the exact same thing that Kurt Angle said, and during that time, and then you see the Vince McMahon puppet replaying the incident where Vince McMahon told John Cena that you have to have ruthless aggression, Cena. And you see the Vince McMahon puppet with horns, and then you see like a Randy Savage Macho Man type puppet, and they have the Saturday Night Main Event logo. And then you see them behind the cage, similar to the promo that Macho Man Randy Savage and Sherry and Zeus cut in 1989 in the lead up to SummerSlam. And John Cena is lifting weights. He's lifting weights, and his arms are getting tired. And then Bray's like, "You've had enough. You've had enough." And then he tries to he out raps Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt tries to out rap him, and it's the old Cena dressed in the basic thugonomics gimmick. And Cena's trying to punch him, and Cena's trying to punch him, and he keeps missing him. He keeps missing him. And each time he misses him, he goes into like another portal. It's like some Alice in Wonderland type shit. And then he goes into this portal where Bray Wyatt is standing there. He's like Eric Bischoff, and he's in a NWO Wolfpack shirt. And then John Cena comes out, and he's like Hulk Hogan, and they give each other the NWO sign. And then you had to see the Vince McMahon puppet say, "That's some good shit." And you're just like, what am I even seeing? And then finally, Bray Wyatt gets him and the Sister Abigail, and you hear the promo that John Cena cut last Friday on SmackDown, saying that Bray Wyatt, that this match will finally put an end to the most overprivileged, overhyped superstar in the history of the WWE. And then you realize it's not, in reality, Cena was actually talking about himself and not Bray Wyatt. And then he gives him to Sister Abigail, and then he wins. And in between that, you have Bray returning to his old cult leader gimmick, and you see where everybody's chanting, "He's got the whole world in his hands," and it's just really weird and surreal. I mean, this is something that just like with the Boneyard match, you have to watch this match to really understand what I mean. I mean, this match was a mind fuck. I've never seen anything. There's nothing comparable to this ever in the history of professional wrestling. You can't even really call it a wrestling match. It was like the movie Saw. It was like a horror movie. Like they they took what Undertaker and AJ Styles had done the night before, and they took it to the next level. I mean, a lot of people are complaining because, well, this wasn't a wrestling match. Like, oh, this isn't a wrestling match. No, this was something weird. Like, I, I have a feeling Bruce Pritchard wrote this shit because Bruce talked a lot about this stuff. He has an episode in his podcast about John Cena. He has an episode in his podcast about Macho Man. There's an episode, of course, and he's friends with Eric Bischoff. So there was a lot of old school references to this, especially with the stuff from the '80s and Cena coming out with an NWO shirt. And my thing was like, the NWO didn't get inducted into the Hall of Fame because it was postponed, but at least they got their due, you know. And then finally, the main event. Drew McIntyre won with 3 kicks. It's whatever. Brock Lesnar at this point, his matches are freaking boring. I mean, this WrestleMania, once again, when you had, a lot of times WrestleMania does this a lot. They did this in WrestleMania 18. They did this in WrestleMania 25. They've done this WrestleMania 29 too was the same thing. Like when you have a semi main event match that's so freaking good, you don't need another main event. The main event match that's billed as the main event match. People are already so exhausted and tired that they don't even care about Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar. I mean, Heyman gave a look, like a shocked look, but nobody really cared. So what? Brock Lesnar lost, and Drew McIntyre is your new WWE champion. But just like last night, who cared that Goldberg lost the Universal Championship? You had such a great match with AJ Styles and Undertaker. You know, and the talk was AJ Styles and Undertaker, and the talk here was John Cena versus Bray Wyatt. You know, it was just like, okay, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. It's whatever. Drew McIntyre won. I didn't even care when he won the Royal Rumble, to be honest with you. So it was interesting. WrestleMania at the Performance Center, no audience. They did different things to try to make up for the fact that they didn't have no live crowd. They took it to the back with Taker and AJ, Randy Orton and Edge had a brawl. They had to do different theatrical things, and this is kind of forcing professional wrestling to take more of a theatrical type approach than what they've usually done for the past 100 years. You know, a change in tradition by force. But obviously, next year is Los Angeles, WrestleMania 37, 2021. They're going back to Los Angeles. And maybe they'll continue to break it up into 2 nights because it was pretty cool being broken up into 2 nights. But I don't see how you'll do that on a normal schedule. You have to do the Hall of Fame. You'll have to do. Oh, and Gronkowski won the 24/7 championship for Mojo Rawley, whatever. He had everybody out there jump Mojo Rawley. And then Titus O'Neil took over from him as the host. But this is a WrestleMania that I'll definitely be rewatching. You know what I mean? Because I thought it was going to be shitty, but it gave me something different, especially that Funhouse match Like I'm saying, I can't give that Funhouse match enough praise. It was so weird and so surreal, and it was a way of having Cena wrestle without having Cena wrestle because Cena now is in the Hollywood, and he was in Fast and the Furious 9. He's a Hollywood celebrity now. They can't really risk him getting hurt, so they wanted to do something a little bit different without him getting hurt. And Bray Wyatt really showed why the Fiend character is one of the best characters that they have out right now in modern professional wrestling. So Sasha again, she didn't win. Bray Wyatt did win, so I was semi satisfied with it. I was definitely satisfied by the Boneyard match. Definitely satisfied by the Funhouse match. And if it didn't go on so long, I would have been satisfied with Orton and Edge. And overall, I give this WrestleMania a 6 out of 10. There was some matches that I really didn't care about, like the NXT Women's match, the Raw Women's match. That was a throwaway to me. Um, why they keep doing, why they keep fucking Sasha over and over and over, I don't know. To me, if I was Sasha's agent or if I was involved in her career, I would think it's time to make a move to AEW. If they're not going to do the big turn with her and Bailey eventually at SummerSlam, then make that move to do what Brody Lee did and do what um, John Moxley did and make that move to AEW because you have options now, whereas you didn't before. Like who was going to go to Impact Wrestling, right? You have options now to go to another mainstream show and prove your worth over there, and then you could come back. Once you've won a couple of titles over there. It's like Jim Cornette always says, "How can I miss you if you don't go away?" Right. So anyway, other than the Sasha loss, it was pretty good. Shayna Baszler versus Becky Lynch was a stinker. Um, I like the moment where Bianca Belair beat up Zelina Vega. That was. I look forward to that kind of faction esque type feuding between those groups, Street Profits, Garza, and Andrade. I don't know what happened to Rusev. They're not see when I don't watch for a couple of weeks, I miss out, and I'm like, what happened to Rusev? All of a sudden, he doesn't show up in Bobby Lashley's matches or whatever. But he wasn't there. But Lana was definitely looking really good. That was a plus. Naomi with Light Show, the Glow Show she does is pretty cool. I don't really like her new um, moveset. I think she's another person. She showed a lot of potential before, but now really doesn't. But anyway, guys, another WrestleMania in the bag, and I tip my hat to WWE because all sports and entertainments have been canceled due to this coronavirus, and we have no form of entertainment. We really don't have any movies really coming out. They've all been pushed to the back. Big event movies. We don't really have concerts. We can't really do anything. But at least Vince McMahon shows us that nothing stops him. The whole world could be coming to an end, and if it's time for WrestleMania, he's gonna show WrestleMania. The first live attendance after 9/11 back in 2001, and now this. Vince, Vince, when he passes away, the engraving on his stone will say, "The show must go on." That's his motto. The show must go on despite whatever happens. And I appreciate it, giving us that form of entertainment, that distraction in this very confusing time. Peace.